Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to week 2 of the Hype League podcast. It was a pretty exciting week. We had at least 2 matchups that came down to the last play on Monday Night Football. Got to be excited about that. A couple of show notes, I guess, before I get into the matchups. I did not look into my other mic yet this week, so hopefully the audio is better. Last week I was doing a matchup, and then I would stop and then do another matchup, and I think that was part of the volume, was cutting it all together. This time I'm going to try to just keep talking and maybe cut out all of the uhs and does that when I say something stupid and things like that. Another thing, we have no guest this week, so it will be all me once again. So let's jump into the first matchup. We'll start with the closest one. It was me versus Swain. I ended up pulling out the victory by about 6/10 of a point. My second victory in a row by less than a point. I think I have won by a total of 1.5, but scorebook says 2-0. That's all that really matters. I mean, so many things come into like these close matchups. Like you can look at all the points and be like, oh, if I had this or that or this call got called back. I mean, Swain had Ridley and Boyd on his bench for McLaurin. McLaurin did catch a touchdown, so I mean, I don't even think that was necessarily a bad play. The Browns defense, though, had me totally terrified. I mean, as soon as I saw they were playing against the JV team, even before Simeon got hurt and Falk came in, I was like, they're going to sack this guy at least a half a dozen times and at least one interception. And they didn't get the interception, but it was a fumble. And man, was it close at the end. At the same time, though, I kicked up Ted Ginn for 0. Like, so stupid. Like, I don't know. Obviously, I didn't know Breeze was going to get hurt. I needed this guy. I was just looking for hopefully get the 150-yard touchdown. But mainly, I mean, I know it looked like it came down to that last play on Monday night, but really it came down to the last play of the Bengals 49ers game. There's like 30 seconds left, and Andy Dalton throws, I think it was like a 70-yard touchdown to John Ross. And that really is what wins the game. My tight ends are garbage, and it really made me think something about, I lost Hunter Henry. That's what's garbage, but you really can't stream tight ends. I mean, you listen to a lot of these fantasy shows, and they're like, oh, yeah, you can just stream quarterbacks and tight ends. Maybe if you're playing, like, in your office league, like, or maybe, I guess, in expert leagues where they're talking about, like, but every guy that they say, like, oh, you pick up Hawkinson, pick up Waller, like, those guys aren't available in any leagues where people are really trying to win. It's like, I don't know, that frustrates me. But whatever, I get the win. I'm happy for it. Swain and I made a big trade pretty much during it. I mean, while we were watching that game, as most of you know, because I probably text you, I was shopping a lot of my guys, sitting at the bar drinking by myself, trying to make a deal. I was really trying to shop Antonio Brown, so I called Malinsky and Minotti first, since they have pretty much no morals. I figured those would be the guys to be interested. Couldn't make a deal there. Well, I had a little something going with Malinsky at one point, but Swain was a motivated buyer, and we got a deal done. Sony Michel for Robert Woods. Not the flashiest deal. I needed a running back. He needed a receiver. I think that was pretty fair. Let's just go right into the next matchup that was pretty much decided by that same Andy Dalton touchdown. Where is it? There it is. It was Minotti versus Dustin. I knew that because it was the other game that came down to the last play of the Monday night game. Dustin needing maybe a 20-yard catch from Crowder there on that last desperation drive to win. But that one was really won when John Ross got that long touchdown that gave Minotti the 3-point win. I was so hoping Minotti was going to drop to 0-2 with Mahomes and Lamar. I mean, they scored 70 points this week. To see him lose on that would have been so great. Looking through his lineup, Duke not really getting the work we expected. I mean, I thought he was going to get a lot of passing downs work. It did not happen at all. I mean, he can probably cut D.D. Westbrook. Doesn't seem like he's going to be targeted a whole lot with Minshew in there. Mike Evans also been pretty disappointing, mainly because he was diagnosed with the flu last week, but it appears it's actually super AIDS. Tough to play like that. He had Lockett on his bench. He could have done a little bit better. He was screwed a little bit, though. Breida and Kittle likely would have gotten more work if the 49ers weren't just crushing the Bengals. He had a lot of guys in that 49ers-Bengals game. Dustin got a lot out of his quarterbacks, too. 53 from Dak and Wilson combined. Last week, he plays Allison over Crowder, gets 0. This week, he goes Crowder over Allison. Would have won if he'd gone the other way. More surprising, though, Kamara not hardly involved at all once Breeze goes down. I mean, he had 13 carries and 1 catch. I mean, it was obvious from the beginning Bridgewater was doing nothing. Like, all he could do was complete 5-yard passes over the middle to Michael Thomas, and they would just tackle him. Like, they were giving them that, and that's all they had. I mean, Sean Payton is supposed to be like the offensive genius, and he couldn't think, hey, we should get our best player the ball more. That seems dumb. Kelsey did bounce back for Dustin, though, had a big game. He probably needs to get Royce Freeman in his lineup at some point here because he's looking maybe better than Philip Lindsay. We'll move on now. Chuck, the defending champ, takes on Lemmer. He loses 150 to 128. Lemmer gets a big game from Odell Beckham, mainly on those 2 great catches. Well, 1 great catch, and then he takes that screen pass or more like a slant pass from Baker, and he just goes the distance with it. Aaron Jones had a good game versus a tough defense, which kind of makes you think, like, when you're listening to the shows and you're like, oh, don't take Aaron Jones. He could play twice against these tough defenses, and even, Chicago, Minnesota, and even the Lions defense is pretty good against the run. But yet he gets almost 30 points against the Vikings this week. So you don't know who's going to be good until they actually play the game. So I never really look at that stuff. Chuck, on the other hand, he has Hawkinson not involved at all. Alshon Jeffrey and Tyreek Hill are both hurt now. Chuck's me driving the struggle bus here for a little bit. Maybe Mecole Hardman can step up. He had a pretty good game this week. But it looks like that's Chiefs. You never know. I mean, there's probably enough work to go around because Pat Mahomes can just throw 50-yard touchdowns to everybody. Andy Reid may never win a Super Bowl, but he has won more fantasy football championships than any other coach. And to me, that's just as important. Last note on Chuck I got here is that Kenyon Drake stinks. Pretty disappointing. I liked him this year, too. I figured he'd get a lot of catches. I mean, you would think that team's always trailing. Why aren't they just dumping the ball after they're running back in those situations? I don't know. I'll probably bid on Drake, though, when Chuck cuts him in a week or two. Okay, moving on. Just like Odell, we had Julio not really that involved until he catches Brandon, until he catches that screen pass and takes it the distance. I mean, that was a terrible game until the end there. Brandon's team's going to be tough to beat unless we get some injuries. Hopefully he loses Eckler at some point here. Melvin Gordon comes back, which is going to be bad for me. Case Keenum, he's probably going to get benched eventually. The Redskins aren't going anywhere. They're going to want to play Haskins. And he has got Gordon in there, and he's going to be boom or bust, I think, with Antonio Brown back. Or not back, but with Antonio Brown in the mix. Man, Brady was sure looking at Antonio Brown a lot in that game. I'd be nervous with Gordon and Edelman. We'll get to him when we get to Malinsky's team later, but I'm sure Gordon is going to have his boom weeks. And I'm probably exaggerating. This isn't a great week to evaluate what New England was going to do. Because, I think their defense scored 2 touchdowns and they were crushing Miami. Though Brady played the whole entire game, which is kind of ridiculous. Like, he just never comes out. Like, it doesn't matter. They could be up 100-0. Brady just stays in the game because he doesn't want to come out. Kish goes down. He's 0-2. He's got 2 of the most disappointing early players, Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs. He's got so he puts Barber on his bench this week, and he has a great game. But next week he's going to find room to put him in. He's going to suck. But you had Mostert start over him anyway. Mostert was pretty good. I still like his team. Fournette will be better. Watson had a tough matchup this week, but he's going to be really good most weeks. I don't really know what's going to happen with DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. Even if Cam is healthy, that offense just doesn't look really good. It seems like Cam is just hurt again, and I don't know. Maybe he's just not as good as he used to be. Maybe he needs Handa to step in and give him a hand, because Handa knows exactly who Raheem Mostert is, that he's a 49ers running back and not one of the hijackers of Flight 93. Ugh, I shouldn't have made that joke. I'm never going to be on Saturday Night Live now. All right, let's go over to Rob versus Case. This was first place versus second place. Rob comes away with a very close victory, but in a pretty disappointing matchup for both of them, 123 to 120. Rob picks up 2 free agents this week that I wanted, in Deebo Samuel and Christian Kirk. I'm really annoyed that I cheaped out on Kirk. That was a dumb one. $1 more, and I wouldn't even have to make that trade. I would have just rolled with Kirk instead of trading for Robert Woods. Michael Thomas for Rob. Obviously going to lose some value with Breeze out, but it sure seemed like Bridgewater could only complete that one pass, so might have a lot of 10 for 60 days for Michael Thomas ahead. I really jinxed Watkins for him, though. Said last week he could be better at Tyreek Hill than Tyreek Hill was, and then he does a bunch of nothing. He did have, I'm pretty sure he had a long touchdown called back, as did Hardman, I think, on a holding call or something. So he could have been a little bit better. I also jinxed Case in this one, too. I said how I liked Michael Gallup, and now he's hurt. Also, Case starts Gallup over Deshaun Jackson, chasing last week. That's why you don't chase last week. That would have won the matchup for him if he just stuck with Gallup. Jackson gets 0 as he gets hurt. He picked up 39 points from the Patriots defense, though, so I'm certainly not feeling bad for him. Hopkins was shut down by Ramsey. He loses Breeze. Things not looking great for Case right now. Back to Rob's side, though. I mean, I'm looking at Todd Gurley. He's getting touches, and he'll probably be just fine as like a mid to low RB1 kind of guy. But I don't think with like 15 to 19 touches a game, he's going to be like the number one overall player we were so used to seeing. And that's a little frustrating in fantasy. It happens so fast, you know. All right, let's move over to Rico and Malinsky in the Jeanette Bowl. Rico really laid a whooping on him, 156 to 112. Rico got big games from Mark Andrews, Galladay, and Jimmy G. He cut Jared Cook after just one game a week earlier than I said last week. David Johnson shut down by Baltimore for him, but I think almost everyone's going to be dealing with that. He had some other letdowns besides Johnson too. Marlon Mack struggled, and until the very last play, kind of like Matt Ryan did, Mayfield struggled, but then just let Odell do his thing and salvaged an okay day. Malinsky, he's in trouble maybe. He loses Roethlisberger. What will Juju do now with Mason Rudolph? I don't know. Same with Edelman after watching that game. And I know I said it when we talked about Brandon. That probably wasn't the best game to judge the Patriots, but I don't know. Antonio Brown sure looked like a good target, and maybe Edelman won't be the security blanket for Brady because basically Antonio Brown is just a way better version of Julian Edelman. And I liked Allen Robinson from Malinsky, but Trubisky and what happened to the Bears offense? Like, they don't even look like the same team as last year. Not that I was like that high. I mean, I know I have Trubisky, but I didn't think he was going to be great, but I didn't think he was going to be the worst player in the league either. But on the other hand, Malinsky, if Edelman's not that great, Brady is probably going to be awesome now with all the weapons he has, like, between James White, Antonio Brown, Josh Gordon, and Edelman. He's going to be I think you're looking at a top 5 year maybe for Brady. Malinsky probably could do a little work on his bench, though, just rolling through it. He could cut almost everyone. Rashard Higgins, why do you need the Browns' third receiver? Balaj looks like the worst running back in the league. I'm assuming you saw the play where he ducked when they threw him the ball. I mean, hell, heaven forbid you catch it. Zay Jones also, you could junk him. I think that's all the matchups. I'll take a quick look at the transactions. I want to make one note about the transactions. I'm only going to mention like how much players went for and if I thought that was smart or stupid. I'm not going to talk about who got cut or who's still available. I don't think that would be fair. Daniel Jones, the case for $10. I think that seems legit. I mean, I don't think that's an overpay, even though the next closest was only $4. Like this week, it seemed like people spent a lot less money than last week. So I don't think $10 was too much for guys to be starting the rest of the way. On the other hand, Malinsky gets Mason Rudolph for only $5. I would have, if I thought that was realistic, I probably would have bid a little more. I just threw a small bid on in case you guys forgot or thought it would be more money than you could spend. Demarcus Robinson, only $5 too. Not that I think that's like a crazy price, because I think it's going to be a lot of up and down weeks for all the Chiefs. They're going to be boomer bust. But in a 3-receiver league, you can kind of take the boomer bust guy, stick him in your third spot, and just, if you have 2 solid other guys, you leave him there until he booms. I thought that would be more like a $10 player, just the way our bidding usually goes. I was happy to get DJ Chark for only $3, but no one else bid on him, so that was annoying, because I could have had Kirk if I would have gone $3 last week. Still upset about that. I'm probably more upset about not getting Christian Kirk than I should be. Minotti bid $3 on D. Smith. I am not quite sure who that is. I feel kind of like Chuck here. Maybe that was a good move, but nobody else bid on him, so probably not. Looking ahead to this week, we got some big matchups, some really important matchups. we'll start with me versus Brandon. I'd have to go back and look to be sure, but I don't think Brandon's ever beaten me. I'm pretty sure I am at least 5-0 against him and knocked him out of the playoffs twice. So, Brandon looking for a little redemption here, and if the projections are to be believed, he's looking to roll possibly. Lemmer and Swain, I think these are two decent teams this year. I think both of them have a shot at being in that 5-7 range, like right on the verge of the playoffs. Case taking on Kish. Case's team is really banged up, and Kish needs this win. I'm expecting Kish to come back and get the victory. I mean, 0-3, it's going to be tough for him. Same thing with Molensky. He needs it. Minotti needs it too, though. He can't go to 1-2 when he's got the two highest scoring players in the league at his team. I think Minotti probably rolls again and seals Molensky's fate. Rob and Dustin kind of in the same boat. Rob's sitting there at... Oh, Rob's only 1-1. Oh, no, Rob's 2-0. Yeah, Rob's 2-0. Dustin's 0-2. Dustin needs to win it. I think he's going to need a little bit of a letdown from Rob this week to get that first win. So that's our look ahead here. Maybe one or two more things before I wrap up. This is, I think, looks like a little bit longer than last week's show, but I think I'm doing pretty good. I haven't stopped talking. I think I only have to make one or two edits. I would happily do an interview if someone wants to be on for a couple minutes next week. But I think maybe another possibility is I could take some emails or like text if you want to ask a couple of questions, and I doubt you guys want to be like asking me fantasy football advice, but you could just say like funny shit and I'll give funny responses. So if you guys want to do that, maybe on Sunday I'll like ask for, you guys can like message me in the app or something. I'll ask for questions. Okay, that's it. Thanks for listening to the show this week. Good luck this week. Go Browns.